Okay, I'd like to introduce the candidates for school board. We have grouped them so that the candidates running for District 1 are Dr. Jennifer Doak, Krisha Lee Roberts, and Lori Shikalo. And then District 4, we have the current incumbent school board member, Maura Barry Sorensen, and her challenger is Tina McSoley. We're going to begin again with opening statements, but what we're going to try and do is have all the candidates for one district answer first, and then the candidates for the other district answer after that, so that you will hear from everybody who's running against each other for the same race at the same time. So on the opening statements for District 1, we will start with Dr. Doak.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Jennifer Doak, and I am a pediatric nurse practitioner. So you can probably figure where the pediatric nurse practitioner question came from. That was me. And I am working at Indian River State College as a professor. I teach pathophysiology, epidemiology, community health, and pediatric nursing. So I've been a professor for 23 years now, so I do have a passion for teaching. Very much I enjoy it. And I think that running for school board is an opportunity to serve. And the people that I'm serving are deserving, worthy, and that's our children, and that's the public. So I'm really excited about the race. I like talking to everybody that I meet and want to communicate the reasons why I'm running. And the reason why is I think all our children deserve to be successful at all levels. And what we need to do is provide opportunities to make that happen. And as a Martin County resident for 46 years, I went to school here, graduated from here, my children graduated here, my grandchild will go to Martin County school system. And I know there's a lot to be proud of in our school system.
Thank you, Dr. Doak.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts, you have up to a minute and a half.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight and spending the time to find out a little bit more about the candidates that are going to be on the ballot on August 26th. My name is Krisha Lee Roberts. I'm a 33-year resident of Martin County and a registered investment advisor. That means I help individuals make financial choices that have to do with their future. A school system is a direct reflection on the values of the community in which it is placed. In Martin County, we spend $40,000 a day, 365 days a year on public education. We need to step out of the past, into the future, and work together to make sure that we're meeting the goals and delivering the product that we need to meet. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shikalo?
Hi, my name is Lori Shikalo, and I am running for school board from District 1. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here tonight. I'm running for two reasons. I'm running again for the board for two reasons. The first is, under the new leadership with our superintendent, I was overjoyed to see the focus go back to our children and on our children's achievements. Most of my adult life I have spent working in leadership positions that advocate and work for the benefit of children, and I want to be around to help our school district in that effort. The second reason, and another compelling reason, is the state of the school district's finances. I have extensive experience and knowledge in school district finance. I actually taught school district finance to school board members throughout the state. I'm a CPA by profession. My campaign motto is working for our children, protecting our dollars. That's what I do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now in District 4, Ms. Barry Sorensen.
Good evening. My name is Maura Barry Sorensen. I am your current school board representative for District 4. By profession, I am an attorney, have been in private practice for many years. I have my practice up in Jensen Beach. I'm also a certified mediator. One of the things that I stress constantly is students first. That is so important to this district. And you have heard a lot of people talk about the economy lately. Well, drill down in the economy and think about how you are going to grow your economy. You're going to grow your economy with an educated workforce, first and foremost. We are now probably the third most populous state, and we do not fund our education system the way it should be funded. We are funding behind South Carolina, behind Georgia, and there is not adequate funding. I see a glimmer of light, though, because Tallahassee did come through for us this year, brought in some extra funds. But I wish to continue to fight for local control and local control over education, curriculum, and testing materials.
Thank you. And Ms. McSoley.
Hi, my name's Tina McSoley. I've been a resident of Martin County for over 20 years. I came here with my husband right after college. We've raised 6 children here, fostered 3, adopted 1. I was Martin County Teacher of the Year in 2005, 6, or 4 or 5. I always get the years mixed up because they overlap. I was Palm City Elementary Teacher of the Year and Warfield Teacher of the Year. I have a master's degree in education. I've taught at Florida Atlantic University. I was one of the first national board certified teachers in the state of Florida, and I've trained teachers throughout the state of Florida on educational programs that benefit students. I currently own and operate All About Achieving Learning Centers, which is a academic program in town that services students pre-K all the way up through college, and in all various types of programming, SAT prep to private tutoring to STEM programs. We do a lot of robotics and those types of things. Education's been my passion since I started college. I kind of fell into it, not sure what else to do, and I have done everything possible that I can do to grow in this field. The main thing lacking on our school board right now is someone with a strong education background. You need to decide what our minimum standard is and raise it. We have to know what's going on in our classrooms and in our schools to be able to make good decisions about how to budget accordingly.
Thank you. May I have the first question, please?
What are the most significant issues facing the school board? What are the most significant issues facing the school board?
We'll start with District 1 and Ms. Roberts.
Thank you very much. Obviously, one of the first significant issues is the budget, but I think there's several other things that we need to deal with as a community. Bullying and violence, I think, is more prevalent than we even would like to think that it is. We all know what's going on nationally. We've all seen what's happened in communities that you never would have thought it would have happened in. I think we need to deal with that. I think there's a large list of things that obviously we're dealing with. I think cultural differences. We're having some cultural changes. Our demographics in Martin County are changing, and I think we need to address those things also. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shekelo.
I definitely think the budget is a top priority and is a critical issue for us this year. At the end of 2012, there was an error in the budget, and in 2013, the Auditor General came in and restated the financial statements of our school district. There was a $2.6 million overstatement in the fund balance, and decisions were made using that money that money has to be made up. Okay, the other thing I think is critical is student achievement, the way that testing takes place, the grading of our schools, and the plans that are being implemented to increase student achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Doak.
Thank you. I think there are several issues that are coming up with our children as we move forward. And change is always going to happen, and it's how we respond to that change that's going to be very important. One issue that, as I knock on doors, and thank you for those of you that have spoken with me, one issue that I hear coming over and over again is the issue of safety in the schools. And there's a definite fear of parents, and they want reassurance, how are we going to make their children safe? And I'm not sure there is any magic wand to wave, but that does need to be considered. Obviously, the budget is a consideration because money is always tight, but our goal is to have student success. So when we look at that, we need to always keep that in mind. How can we educate our children? And I think that the question comes up often about, do I believe in Common Core? Well, Common Core in the state of Florida is the Florida standards.
Thank you. Ms. McSorley?
Okay. Everything goes back to the budget. The budget, once the budget is solved, once the budget problem is fixed, every other problem in the district can be fixed. So what we need to do is get outside the box and get creative. We're trying to do the same thing, the same way, with the same results. That's the main reason I want to get on this board, is because I have new ideas. I've presented several of them, and they're things that have never been tried before, and they're feasible. I've asked. These are things that by working within the school system, I can see where cuts can be made, I can see where additions can be made without additional costs, and I can see where it can benefit our employees and our students and our taxpayers.
Thank you. Ms. Barry Sorensen?
Again, you have heard a common theme here about the budget. Clearly, our budget had a big hit, but this was across Florida. When the downturn of the economy occurred, it hit public education really, really hard. And we have had to cut academic games, we have had to cut the science projects. We want to bring these back intact to all of our schools. And I believe that we have seen the end of the downturn. I would also like to recognize that children learn differently now. It is so tied into technology, and we are now bridging technology and education to a higher level, and that's another issue that we are going to be confronted with in the future.
Thank you. May I have the next question, please?
What suggestions do you have for resolving the teacher union negotiations?
Ms. Barry Sorensen?
I am going to refrain from answering that question. I'm on the school board now. We are going into executive session tomorrow, and I had advice of counsel that it would not be advisable for me to comment publicly on this, so I will refrain from doing so.
Thank you. Ms. McSorley?
Since I've been in this county, negotiations have been contentious. There is a lack of respect in the room for both sides, and that has fueled fire year after year after year. Sometimes, I think we're all adults, and they all know in that room when the budget's too tight, and they all know in that room when things can and can't be done. But when you sit in a room with another adult, you have to show respect for that you understand what their needs are, and they understand what your needs are. And when you have that mutual respect for each other, things can get solved. But the process is so contentious that I think people just stop listening to each other. So we need to get back to, at some level of civility, and I just don't see that.
Thank you. Ms. Shekelo? Shekelo. I'll get it right.
Shakalo. When I ran for school board in 2002, I went to every negotiating session prior to being on the board. And things aren't a whole lot different today than they were then. Both sides need to come to the table with flexibility. They need to be open. They need to trust each other. They need to put their ideas out on the table. There needs to be respect, as Mrs. McSorley said. But there also needs to be some creativeness and openness to new ideas. The district and the teachers union can come to yes. They have before. And I have high hopes that they'll come to yes again this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Doak?
I have been on a negotiating committee and have been in those seats. And what is most important when I sit down is knowing that I have an open mind, So both sides need to come with open mind, open hearts, that they will work for the betterment of the student. That's what they're there for. And I think they both agree that they should respect each other, have civility, which we now see, and that needs to be there. And they need to both come across the table and work together so that they can agree and make things work for our students.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. There's some advantage to going last, obviously. I agree with Ms. McSorley that the problem is with respect. I find it interesting that Ms. Shikalo talks about respect when she had a problem working together with people who she didn't agree with. The interesting thing is that if you agree with people, you can respect them, and you manage to work in a respectful manner. You need to be able to work together in a respectful manner, even if you don't agree with them. Now, we all have the same common goal, whether it's the district or whether it's the union people. So we need to work together from that. We need to look at zero-based budgeting, and we need to realize there's no sacred cows. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have the next question?
What preparation and guidance for employment should there be for students not going on to higher education?
Okay, the question is, what preparation and guidance for employment should there be for students not going on to higher education? Dr. Doak.
Thank you. Right now, within the school system, we have something, the medical, that I sit on, a medical advisory board. These are for students that have identified a vocation that they want to be in. And within the school system, they work and are in the classroom, and they go into the hospital, and they learn a skill set. And the encouragement and guidance needs to come from the community. They go out into the hospital and they see the professionals working, and there's a partnership within that. And that's the guidance and preparation that they need. They need role models, and they need responsible adults to show them what it's like in the working world. When you have a student that accomplishes that, gets the certificate, and is able to move forward in the career that they've chosen, they feel so much pride, and you have pride for them too. And to be a part of that is what adults, the responsible adults in the community, should
Thank
be.
you. Ms. Roberts.
Let's face it, not everyone is going to college, wants to go to college, or should go to college. We have a responsibility to help every child find their own way in life. There's a lot of different technologies, in today's technological age, there's a lot of different things we could be tapping into to help these children that want to do something different. We need to have mentors at the school level that's identifying things that these children would be interested in and trying to find the passion for them, and helping them find what they should be doing and want to be doing, and lead them on with partnerships with businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shakalo.
With regard to career counseling and our children going forward, children who aren't suited for college, who don't want to go to college, that want to work with our hands, we have so many wonderful occupations that are out there that don't require a college education. We have a lot of academies in the school system that train kids in areas, in all ways, to work when they come out of high school and be certified in a lot of different things that they can get a job. One of the things that I think is very important that I relied on with my own children was the counseling and the testing that people came up with, where the guidance counselors gave you an aptitude test and gave you ideas of things that you might be good at, things that you have an interest in, things that you would be successful in. And I think that we need more of that in our school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McSorley.
So here's the problem. Are you aware that when a child scores a level 1 or level 2 FCAT, they can't take elective courses in high school because those classes have to be taken as remedial math and reading classes? So the very students that are struggling and who need alternatives for education are the very ones who aren't getting them because of what's coming down from Tallahassee, the rules that we have to abide by. That's where the change needs to happen, because those very students are the ones that are our critical students. Yet when we need to be putting them into auto shop. We need to be putting them into culinary academy. We need to be putting them into robotics programs. Wherever their gifts are, they can't go because they have to pass a test. That is nothing we can control. However, we need to get creative about how to get these students opportunities to grow at what they are good at. We have lots of options, but how can they, oh, sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Barry Sorensen.
We have what is called recovery labs for those kind of individuals who cannot get into the career and technical institutes. But our career and technical institutes have won awards. We have them in the high school, and we now have them in the middle school. You, as a individual, can go into automobile, you can get your CNA, you can go into construction, you can go to video, you can get certifications as an animal tech, you can get culinary certifications. The most important thing I want to stress is that even though you are in a career and technical, I want to make sure that the door is not closed. So then, if the individuals seek to secondary education or college education, that door will remain open. But right now, this option is unlimited, and we also have to promote more internships in our high schools because that is another mechanism that the children can work for. And, okay, stop. Okay.
Thank you. May I have the next question, please?
Comment on the Common Core state standards.
Ms. Barry Sorensen.
I am adamantly opposed to Common Core. I'm adamantly opposed to it because it takes away local control. I believe that Tallahassee needs to look at the current standards because they relabeled Common Core standards to Florida state standards. They're essentially the same standards. I do not believe that Florida has to look very far and very far afield to find good standards. All they have to do is look to Massachusetts. Massachusetts passed a comprehensive education reform in 1993. Massachusetts is now one of the highest rated educational institutions and programs in the United States, and it compares comparably with many of the world countries who are top contenders for good education.
Thank you. Ms. McSorley.
I've read through virtually all of the standards. I have a very, very, very large background in teaching the standards. I taught the Sunshine State standards when I was teaching, and I read through the standards to see what is the difference between what we were doing before and what we're doing now. The big difference, the standards are virtually the same. There are a few differences, less than 10% are different. The main difference is they say, tell me why. I did read them. I'm conservative in what I want my children to learn. But when you look at the standards individually, they simply say, teach multiplication, teach division. What the big problem is the curriculum, and they have been putting curriculum into the schools for years that I would deem unacceptable for my children. We need to take the local control we've been given and make sure that those standards are taught appropriately to our children in the way we want them taught. That's critical.
Thank you. Ms. Shekelo. I'll get it before the end.
You could just call me Lori if you want to. First of all, I want to state that I am adamantly for, rigorous curriculum in our schools and education for our students. But I am opposed to the Common Core standards. I'm opposed to them because of what they've become. And the one thing that I am grateful for in the state of Florida is that local control has come back to our school district, that the school district, is responsible for the curriculum. Martin County has always been conservative in its curriculum, and when I'm elected, I intend to continue that philosophy with our curriculum in the way that the board is permitted to do. Therefore, that is my answer to that. I am opposed to Common Core. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Doak.
The goal is for our students to succeed. The Florida standards, if you look them up on any web page, as a nurse practitioner, knowing growth and development, those standards are on task. When you look at what a third grader should do in math, it's appropriate. What I don't agree with is how the control has been taken away from the people at the local level. And when you're a teacher, you understand that those standards can be taught, you can teach higher, but you understand that you need control of the curriculum. You need to design the instruction. So that, I think, is what's important.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to
Can I
question.
answer that
Oh,
one, too?
I'm sorry, Ms. Roberts.
Just for fun, okay, thanks. Obviously, there's some problems with Common Core. We don't need a national curriculum. What is important to us as a community, whether it's our environmental protection or our water quality, those type of things, are specific to our area, and we need to be teaching with that as a focus. Now, but that being said, that points to a larger problem. The larger problem is when Common Core came down the pike, our neighbors to the north, St. Lucie County, and our neighbors to the south, Palm Beach County, all had forums and workshops that presented Common Core and let you see what exactly it was. That was seriously lacking in Martin County and didn't happen here. When I get elected, that will change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will move on to questions from the audience. The first one, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in our schools, both paid and voluntary? And we will start with Dr. Doak. You have up to a minute.
All right, thank you. Both paid and voluntary. I do not have any paid experience with the school system. However, in St. Lucie County, I am a full professor there. So I have quite a bit of instructional and design work that I have done. And that means that you integrate curriculum, you build curriculum, you know how to choose a textbook. And that's what that pulls together in our school system. Non-paid volunteer work, I have been a member of the Parent Academy. This was actually started in St. Lucie County. I'm a member of the Medical Advisory Board with Linda Ryan for what we talked about for the vocational training. And then I do have 2 children that played volleyball, and so I have a lot of hours dedicated to the volleyball team. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. I have no paid experience in the Martin County or any school system. I do have credentials in environmental education for adults and for children. I am a Florida Master Naturalist, number 1,031 in the state of Florida, where there are less than 2,000. I am designated as an environmental consultant, and I've had training to teach environmental education to children from Project Wild, Project Wet, and Flying Wild. I volunteered at Felix Williams. I'm active with the Garden Club of Stewart and with a youth camp, an environmental youth camp up in Apopka. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shakalo.
Thank you.
Takes a while.
I was a school board member for 8 years, and prior to that, I was a substitute teacher for 6 years in our schools, in a variety of schools throughout the county. Volunteer-wise, I have several thousand hours of school volunteer work. One of the reasons I know how much that is because the school district is responsible for keeping track of it and reporting it to the state. I've been in school committees, I've been on district committees, I've been on boundary committees, I've been on the calendar committee, I'm an environmental studies center volunteer. I have a tremendous wealth of experience in the operational aspects of the school district from volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McSoley.
Well, I spent the first 16 years of my life in Martin County schools. I taught 2nd grade, 3rd grade. I was on the PTA board. I was served on more committees than I can count or list here or that you really care to want to hear. I wrote hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants for education programs in Martin County. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Summer Slide program going on in the county right now, at every after-school program in the county, from Martin County schools to Boys and Girls Clubs. I was on the literacy committee who helped spearhead that program, and we are currently serving over 540 students to prevent the Summer Slide. It is my life. There is been nothing else except school and more school, and then come home to kids who have been in school, so.
Thank you. Ms. Barry Sorensen?
I have sat on the SAC committee at Pinewood. I have sat on the Head Start Policy Council. I have volunteered in several ESE classes, and I have also worked on the volunteer playground committee actually helped to build it, not volunteered on the committee, up in Jensen Beach. I go out to the schools frequently. I've visited the schools, read to the students frequently, and donated extra items through the Education Foundation.
Thank you. The next question from the audience. Would you comment on why some of our schools had poor performance records this year? We're going to start with District 4 and Ms. Barry Sorensen.
One of the things that we are encountering in this school district is increased diversity in our school, and that comes with increased problems. Additionally, we have a large portion of our public school students now on free and reduced lunches. I believe that there is also, hand in hand with the economic downturn, you have parents that are not involved as they should be because they are too worried about their economic situation. Basically, one of the problems has been that we have to get the data analyzed, find out where the problem has developed, bring in the best practices from the other Title I schools that did not have the particular problems that we had in some of these Title I schools, and figure out where the breakdown was in the education process as to why some of the Title I schools were not functioning the way they should or testing out the way they should, and others did.
Thank you. Ms. McSoley.
While the assembly line for Ford was a great idea, that is not what our schools are. We do not input information and get output. I just bought a new car, it runs. Any new car I bought would run. These are children. They have many different needs. They have many different things going on in their lives. I actually have a little bit of a theory on that. Don't you think it's a little strange that a large majority of the Title I schools went down while the other schools stayed the same? Do you think that everyone at those schools suddenly forgot how to teach this year? What I believe happened, I have 30 seconds. What I believe happened was that, and I don't know this statistically, but I've actually asked for some data on this, but when you take the FCAT this was the last year for FCAT. The Title I schools typically have more training than non-Title I schools. Perhaps the Title I schools are actually preparing for the new standards coming in a little bit better than the non-Title I schools because they've had more training, and therefore the kids weren't being tested on the same things they were being taught.
Thank you. Ms. Shikalo.
I think the school district is in the process of analyzing the data at the schools. Obviously, Title I schools have a different population than some of the other schools that we have in our district. There's also an issue with the testing and actually the grading of the schools and the testing that takes place. The grading formula has changed for the last 3 years, okay, and it will change again next year. And it's important that we look at that because are we looking at the same things? It's very important when we compare anything that we compare apples to apples, and that's not blaming the test, okay? That's looking at the reality of taking the data, analyzing the data, and coming up with a plan to look at wherever we fell short in those areas to fix it.
Thank you. Dr. Doak.
Well, our goal is to have our students achieve and be successful. So the question is, what's responsible for that poor performance? Well, as a teacher in the college level, I will tell you this, and I'll stand by it. It's reading. It all goes down to the reading levels. And That is what the American Academy of Pediatrics just came out with, their recommendation, that the most important thing a parent or parents can do for their child is read to them. So that passion has to come across in all our curriculum. It's that reading portion. And as a nurse practitioner, I know their health has to be considered. If you have a toothache, you can't learn. If you're hungry, you're not ready to learn. So I'd like to bring that piece into our performance. You know, are our children being taken care of healthy? Are they healthy? Are they happy when they come to school? And are they ready to learn?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. I believe our focus shifted. I think we blinked, we weren't paying attention, and we failed a group of students. What we're doing is we're putting so many requirements on teachers and on administrators and everything to keep track of little boxes and to fill out forms and to do reports that we're stifling creativity and kind of keeping the teachers from really pursuing their passion and teaching in a manner that would be engaging to the students and would pick them up on what they want to, 30 seconds, what they want to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question. Are you in favor of cutting textbook costs by going to digital book replacements? Ms. Roberts?
I don't see how we have the money to do that. I mean, I think, yes, technology is the way of the future. I think there's some issues that go with that we don't have access. Every student doesn't have access to a computer, so I think that creates a little bit of an issue there. I think that's a huge, huge nut to crack and a huge, huge expense to go to try to move to the digital age. I mean, eventually, I think we have to go there, but for right now, with the budget problems that we have, I don't see it happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shekelo. I was doing
They're going to remember your name.
Throughout my experiences in the accounting and business world, one of the things that I did was bring computer systems into companies and integrate them and actually change over from a paper system to a computer system. And one of the biggest things and biggest issues that we had in doing that, and any company or organization has, is training. And you need to be able to afford the training in order to bring the technology in. Technology is the way of the future, there's no doubt about it, but technology is not going to work unless the proper training is brought in along with the programs and along with the applications that are being put forth. We all know how kids can do a lot of things on the computer better than we can. It wouldn't serve our students well if they know the technology better than the teacher.
Thank you. Dr. Doak.
Well, the question is, would we favor cutting textbook costs and going digital? As a teacher, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than the teacher. I mean, I teach online classes, I teach all in-class classes, and combined, we call them blended classes. And the teacher is the person that moves that curriculum forward. Should we cut costs on those textbooks? Truthfully, the textbook does not drive the curriculum. The teacher does. So that is really where I think we should invest our thoughts and our effort and our conversation.
Thank you. Ms. McSorley.
Don't quote me on this number, but I believe we just spent $212,000 on a math textbook for the middle schools. Just one math textbook for the middle schools only. Now, think about the math on that. It is going to be very difficult to switch to digital because of all the reasons that you all can think of. But counties have done it. In my time working with my business, I've worked with over 8 counties and over 500 different teachers. I've directly supervised them in different programs that we've done. And one of the things that some of the counties have done is it's kind of reverse math. They'll send the students home at night. They do the Khan Academy lesson online, which you don't even have to purchase. It's free, and it's one of the best programs on the web right now. And then they come in the next day already having been taught the lesson, and the teacher works with them now to see what their level of understanding is. So instead of spending the hour teaching a class of 20 students, some who may or may not understand it, she's actually able to see them apply it.
Thank you. Ms. Barry Sorensen.
This next year, we are going to have a bring your own device to all the elementary, middle, and high schools. It is my opinion that we have to really enhance our professional development for our teachers to make sure we can bridge the bridge and build a foundation between technology and education. I also believe that we will be transitioning to digital within the next 5 years, and I believe that is going to be mandated.
Thank you. Given the interest of time, we're going to move on to closing statements. You have up to a minute and a half to close. And since we began with District 1, we'll begin with District 4 on the closing statements. And Ms. McSorley.
Well, you know my experience. I've spent my life doing this. My goal here is, I have really several goals. I've been working extensively with after-school programs, and we need to start combining resources. The school district doesn't have enough money, they don't have enough money, and they have our schools for 2 to 3 hours a day after school. They have our students for 2 to 3 hours a day after school. They're trying to expand their educational programs, and oftentimes they're recreating the wheel that we've already created, and vice versa. We need to expand those partnerships and collaborations. I have, as I said, an extensive grant writing background. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. We need to look for more funding for the district. It's out there. People are begging to give money away. We have to start seeking it out. We need to get much more creative with our budget. There are many, many, many things we can do, and I could sit here for an hour and give you various ideas. So if you want to talk to me about it afterwards, I would be happy to talk about it. But I have met with the finance department at the school district to ask them if my ideas are feasible, because I don't want to present them if they're going to create a problem on one end or the other. But they're things that I've seen from my work in the district. And without that practice, whatever your job is, would you hire somebody who had 4 years on the job or was just out of college? I've got 20 years on the job. I know exactly what's going on. You are an expert in your field. Whatever your field is out there, you are the expert in that field. I'm good at one thing, and it's education. I'm pretty good at being a mom, but
Thank you.
sometimes I question that.
Ms. Barry Sorensen.
Well, I would just like to thank the public for allowing me to serve for you for the preceding years. I am not as aligned with any special interest group. Students are first. I listen to the problems. I listen to the professionals that present to me the information. I analyze the information. I discuss this information with my fellow board members. We come to a conclusion and we function as a board. I believe that I enhance bring my experience, as I stated, as a problem solver to the school board. I'm also a mediator, and this has become very helpful also, because there are always differences between 5 individuals. So anybody sitting up here saying, I will do this, and I will do this, is not living the reality, because I can't do anything. I work on a board. It has to be a consensus of either 3 or 5. So we work together, we bring solutions up, and we vote, and we work forward for the benefit of the students of Martin County, and I will continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shakalo.
Thank you again for inviting me here tonight, and for all of you for coming out. I guess my closing is going to be that I love children, and I have a passion for education. I have a vested interest in this school district. My 3 children got a fabulous education here, and I want to see the same for every student in our county. Okay, I have experience. I have business experience. I have school finance experience. Right now, we have a budget crisis, and it doesn't look like it's going to be getting all that much better over the next few years. My experience, particularly in the area of school district finance, is something that would be an asset to the school district at this time. You may have heard in the community that people are saying, well, you need fresh eyes on the board. Okay, but I will tell you that 3 out of the 5 board members right now have less than 2 years' experience. You have fresh eyes on the board. You have new people looking at things with fresh eyes. You need someone with experience, someone who has school finance experience, to work with the superintendent and the board as a team to solve the problems of the school district. Again, working for our children, protecting our dollars, that is my commitment to you. I ask for your vote on August 26th, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's been pleasant being here. In the years ahead, we have challenges and choices that we have to deal with. How we address these things, whether they be advancing technology, bullying and school violence, cultural changes, career advancements, financial issues, any of those things define who we are as a community. We don't need to go back to what we've been doing in the past. I offer the financial comprehensive experience. I offer respect for everyone who comes forward who has an idea, since we're all working together. And I offer the environmental focus that I believe could be a little bit stronger in our school system. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Dr. Doak.
Thank you for having me. In wrapping up, I want to just say service to our children is very important. We all want our children to have a good education, they deserve it, and that should stay our focus. And promoting what is good about Martin County, we all know. We know teachers, we know programs, we know children that are all wonderful. We need to promote that, keep those good things, and then serve as change agents for the things that maybe need our help, that we don't agree with, that we want to move forward on. So in that regard, I believe that I have the attitude, the knowledge, and the skills to help our children be successful. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the candidates for attending tonight, and I'd also like to thank you, the audience, for attending and also participating.